Welcome to the Phosphines podcast. I'm your host, Krista, and joining me today is Rachelle Thistle, my good friend who is preparing to leave her career in the oil field behind as she starts Thistle Brew Co., a mobile coffee trailer experience. Rachelle, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi.
For people listening, can you share a bit about who you are and what's bringing you onto Phosphines today?
So my name's Rachelle, and I moved out to Grand Prairie, Alberta from Ontario when I was 19 years old. And I immediately got into the oil field and spent over 10 years doing that. And 5 years of it, I was a business owner in the oil field. And now I am starting over by building a mobile coffee trailer, and that's my new plan.
What did you originally like about that life in the beginning when you moved over from Ontario?
The money, definitely the money. Didn't have to go to school for anything. I knew I wasn't a school person. I tried to go to college. I took business marketing and economics in college, and I failed it. I actually failed within the first year, and I decided to drop out, and that's why I chose to come out here because I had already had friends out here. Yeah, so I moved out, and within 3 months, I got a job as a swamper on a 45-ton picker, and I stayed doing that for quite a few years.
Now, at what point did you start feeling like this isn't it for me anymore?
That takes explaining what my background was to begin with, because a lot of people get into the oil field and have no problem with it. They can do it their entire lives. But I started as a swamper on a 45-ton picker until I got my class one. And then I had seat time as a class one driver doing picker things on my own. And then that transitioned into hot shot work, especially because that kind of changed when COVID came into play. So I was laid off from my job. I couldn't find another job. When I did find a job, it was hot shot. That was the only thing I could find. So I started doing that and I liked it. It kept me really busy. And that's what drove me into wanting to rig up my own truck and do that instead, because I knew I'd capped out on my wages. Like I was at that point, I was what, 5 years? Yeah, 5 years into my experience, and they were paying me premium wage, and even I wasn't happy with what that wage was. So I went after having my own truck and having my own clients, and I loved it, but it is around the clock work. It is 24/7. There's times where I didn't have even 4 hours off between my jobs. Like it wasn't realistic. I reached burnout. I lost interest in it. I felt unappreciated, all the things, and I didn't want to do it anymore. And that was within the last 2 years. So
And the idea of doing a coffee trailer specifically, obviously that's something you can do seasonally, so I can see that being a draw. What else about that really appealed to you?
that's a personal question because I didn't do it for financial reasons. Everyone kind of has a dream. Everyone has a something outside of their career that they feel called to do or are passionate about. And it used to be like I have other passions too, but they weren't something that felt like I was serving my genuine purpose. This kind of came to me in my spirit for some reason. It's not logical, it's not financially, I'm not going to get rich doing it, but I felt like if I did this, I would serve my purpose better.
You feel like you're going to feel more fulfilled on a daily basis by doing this and give you some freedom as well to have a more flexible lifestyle.
Yeah, hopefully.
I can imagine it feels scary to leave an established career in the oil field and start something completely new.
It does. Yeah, it super does. Because I don't know, even the business that I have now, there's no promise of work, there's no promise of income. I've never actually had promise of income my entire career, that's a hard feeling to explain to people that are hired on in positions that are guaranteed. You get your 40 hours Monday to Friday, you're guaranteed your 2 weeks off a year. So to explain what I come from to a normal person, they're like, wow, I don't like, how would you not feel scared all the time? And I feel that even about the coffee trailer. It doesn't scare me because I am so used to not knowing if I am going to flop or if I'm going to really succeed. It just, whatever will come my way will come my way, and I trust in it.
It really is a leap of faith, and I think that you're so brave to be doing this. What made you decide to build it yourself instead of outsourcing it?
Money. Money is a big one because those trailers aren't cheap. To buy a trailer that's already fully set up, you're not, I mean, you could probably get it built the way that you want it, but it's at that point you're custom building a trailer and you're looking at like anywhere in the 80,000, $100,000 ballpark just for the bare bones of a trailer that's going to pass a health inspection. And that's a lot of money. Or I could just do it myself. And not that I didn't know what I was doing by any means, but I knew enough and I had faith in myself and my knowledge that I could pull it off. But I really didn't want to spend $100,000. I'm like, I only want to spend $20,000. So
I will say Rachelle has done a wonderful job building this trailer literally from the ground up. I'm going to link in the comments a couple of her videos that she's posted of the build, and it's so awesome to see. What does that process look like day to day? Because you are still working in the oil field right now, correct?
yeah, I'm still working full time. So what I do now, I have transitioned what my current business is from being hotshot to doing strictly piloting because I knew I was on my way out and I wanted something that was less stressful on my schedule because again, hotshot was 24/7, so there was a lot of random night shifts all year long. It wasn't just through breakup. So I decided to get into the piloting world and I pilot drilling rig moves, which I love. I love working with those kind of people. But that being said, the seasonal opportunity that these food trucks have, especially up here, is only from April till like you're so lucky if you make it to September because you're worrying about your water freezing. People don't want to stand outside when it's cold, stuff like that. So you only have this big of a window to begin with. And then I got this trailer and decided I wanted to do this in January or February. I started February 2nd, I think. That is the busiest season for oil field. Everybody that works oil field knows that. We call it March Madness because you don't get days off between February and the end of March because everybody wants to rush everything through before road bans and breakup comes on. So I'm trying to squeeze this in, and I wanted my opening date to be next week, and it's not going to happen because work got way busier than I was expecting. Good, that's great, that's amazing, I'm making money, but at the same time, now my season for my food truck is slower to the punches potentially.
I mean, I think this is your first season, so if you're kind of doing both and you can get that coffee trailer rolling, it's still going to be a success, but you definitely are dealing with a limited season, right? That's just the
Oh
reality of
yeah.
life in northern Alberta. What has been the hardest thing about this whole building process so far?
Ooh, that's a good question. The back end work yeah, honestly, the building of it's not that hard because it's kind of like Lego in a way. It's once you know what your plan is and you know all the pieces that need to go together, it's a matter of assembling the pieces. But to understand what the regulations are, what will pass an inspection, um, the laundry list of things that the Alberta health and safety people require of you. Like any business, there's the getting incorporated, registering for a bank account, applying for credit cards. What else haven't I done yet? Website, the social media stuff, like that stuff is a really time consuming stuff. Even though I've already gone through it with one business and it is easier this time because I didn't register my corporation through a lawyer. I went straight to registry. So that saved me at least 2 appointments sitting down with a lawyer and lots of money. And then same thing with the bank account. Like I already knew what I needed to my bank account or to my bank appointment to register this business bank account.
Now, you mentioned social media. I imagine that is a big part of promoting something like a mobile coffee trailer. People need to be excited to come find you. They need to know where to find you. And they have to have a reason to choose you over all of the other competitors that are out there.
They do. Yeah, they majorly do. Especially because I have no social media experience. I came from like my family, we grew up without TV, without internet. And then I moved out here and I got into a career that didn't require me to have any computer skills whatsoever other than to do safety tickets. So I've never owned a laptop. I have the bare minimum social media experience. I never have made videos. So having to learn how to do media marketing, which is, I look back on that, especially because I took it in school. It's like from the time, okay, so that was over 10 years ago. 10 years ago, the things that they were trying to teach us in college it wasn't even relevant to what it would take today to have a successful business. It's changed so much. Everything relies on media. So where do you get your media training from even? Like a lot of what I've learned so far has come from watching other creators and how they have navigated their videos, how they structure them, what kind of music they use, the time they post it. There's a whole niche that comes from marketing your company through social media. It's hard. Like I give people that are really good at it major props because it is time consuming. It is a burden on your mental load on top of doing the rest of your business. Now take on something that's like what is appealing what is appealing to the general public even. That's so hard to read. It changes day by day.
Yeah, people like to talk, down on influencers, but anybody that can make a good living doing social media content, I mean, it is not easy. You have to do so many takes. You have to look perfect.
Yeah.
You have to be able to clearly communicate a message or a story, especially if you're doing any sort of product promotion for money. I mean, it's challenging for sure.
I actually think about that. People, I remember you see bits and pieces of celebrity interviews where they talk about their media training. And I used to look at it like, well, why would you need media training? Can't you just show up and speak as yourself? But now that I've done enough, like TikTok is the platform I chose to start this on because one of the girls that I follow on Instagram had told me that the editing structure of TikTok was far simpler to use than Instagram. And I did start on Instagram, but I had the same kind of hang up of the real editing system. It would lag, it had issues, it would frustrate me, it would just randomly delete my work. And so I took her advice and I started on TikTok instead. And it was day and night faster to edit anything on there. And then my TikTok presence kind of started to grow. And then I realized like you need to be a certain way. Like you need to speak a certain way. You need to be quick. That was the other thing. Like a lot of these influencers know what to say super quickly so they get their message across, like you say, clearly. That takes training, that takes practice. That's not just something that comes naturally to anybody.
It is going to be easier, I think, once you are up and rolling because you're going to have, beautiful drinks that you can feature and food items and just snapshots of people coming to your trailer. Whereas right now, you're kind of in the trenches of the actual build, but still trying to develop that following, get your story out there, and show what this whole process has been like.
Yeah. Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, because it seems like what it what I'm doing, I don't know how to explain this. Like what I am doing currently on my TikTok platform, will say, while it is relevant to my business, it is not what my business is, right? It's just this was a small piece of me establishing this business. But going forward, it's like, how do I maintain engagement that's a different crowd of people that was watching that compared to the crowd of people that's interested in my product and my service. They're not going to be the same people. So now how do I
Well,
shift my platform?
I would argue that people that have followed this story, they are going to go out of their way to come and find you and have a coffee at your trailer because
I hope so.
well, because they've watched you build it from the ground up and they're going to be, interested, right? I think that it's really cool that you're showing all of this. And it also is really inspiring for other people that are thinking about building, something on their own, not even a coffee trailer, but a food trailer or, a tiny home or anything like that. Just you showing, the steps that have gone into it, I think is really helpful for people.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. I just think, man, as you've seen, like TikTok is so random. There's never a rhyme or reason to anything, how well your video does. The kind of people that end up in the vicinity of your video or in the comments of your video, there's no rhyme or reason to it. And yeah, that's the one thing I worry about a little bit is, okay, I have these people I've kept or interested by doing my build, but are they necessarily the coffee people? Are they the coffee crowd, or are they just lured in by my shit show going on kind of thing? It's funny, it entertains me. So if it entertains me, it must entertain them.
Has there been a moment during the build where you asked yourself, what am I doing? Or have you been fairly confident and positive the entire time?
Oh, there's been many. There's been so many. Oh, nothing in that trailer was square. No, okay, you know what? I have I have no construction experience. So to normal people that have all of this knowledge and time and this kind of stuff, this might seem like common sense to so many of you, but me doing this was like, why is the wall not square? Why is the floor not square? Why doesn't this line up with this joist? Like there was things over and over and over again, and it didn't matter that I suffered through the first part of it. As soon as I got to doing it again on a different, like my building my cabinets, for example, I built it based on a YouTube video I watched, based on written instructions from other people, like professionals online, did my back end work trying to figure out how to build this thing properly, built it, got it in my trailer. The floor wasn't square. So like you set it down and one end wasn't even touching the floor. So now I'm learning how to like shim these cabinets. And then I'm like, you know what, on the next one I'm gonna just build it inside of the trailer and square it to like everything within
Right.
the trailer. And then that was even harder. And I'm like, man, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm over it. I'm tired. Like, and then I'm doing it after work on top of that. So I'd work whatever hours in the oil field, which are not little hours. It'd be like 12, 14-hour days. And then I'd hustle over to go do a little tiny bit on my trailer because I knew I was going to be gone for a week. And it just, it was hard. It was hard. There was a lot of times I'm like, I should just hire this out. But I didn't.
You persevered.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, you've got a lot of oil field and learned skills, construction and things like that. Have you ever served coffee or waitressed before?
Never, never, ever. I worked at a grocery store when I was 14 to 18 years old, and I worked in the bakery. Well, you know what? Okay, there's a little blip of time where I did serve coffee.
Okay,
And
where
it
was
was
that?
when I went to college, when I moved to the city and I went to college, which was Fanshawe College in London, Ontario. I lived downtown and I took on this bakery job because I already had actually it was 13 to 18. So I had 5 years at this bakery prior to moving to the city. I found a job at an Italian bakery in the city and they served like Italian products like tiramisu. I would make tiramisu and cakes and all the things, and then they had espresso that the old Italian people, like little old ladies and little old men, would come in and they would get their little tiny espresso shots with like tiramisu or whatever they wanted. So I did know how to make espresso with an espresso machine back then, but again, that was over 10 years ago.
Where's my tiramisu? How have you never, how have you never made me
They make
tiramisu?
them all the time. Like, they're called lady fingers.
Yeah.
That's what tiramisu is made out of. It's like lady fingers and whipped cream, and then you just like layer them. You soak the tiramisu or the lady fingers in coffee, and then you layer them, and it's delicious. I love it. So to this day, I still buy those little lady fingers and dip them in my coffee because it's so good.
Well, I learned something new about my best friend today, and I will say I'm expecting tiramisu for my birthday cake.
Like, do you like tiramisu?
I do. I love
Oh, really?
tiramisu.
I'll super try and make it for you. Yeah, I'll try and make it for you. See if I can remember.
That's a big move to go from Ontario to Alberta, especially as young as you were. Do you ever see yourself going back, or is it for the
No,
Western
no.
provinces?
No, hard no. It's not even the same there anymore. Like even when I go home to visit family now, it's it's sad. It's sad to watch a province become so overpopulated and just congested. And then you come out here, like you're from Tatla, it's just there's freedom no matter what direction you go. There's nothing but space and there's so little few like people. It's so hard to go to a city. Like, you know how it feels. It's just nope, I want to be somewhere where there's wide open spaces.
What did you learn about yourself through building this on your own? Now, I know you've done other, building businesses and things like that on your own, but was there anything about this project in particular that kind of taught you something that you didn't know previously about yourself?
That's a multi-layered question to answer because it's situational of my life. It's a reflection of the change I'm going through spiritually as well in the moment. Like I'm a faithful person, and to go through something like this has made forced me into trusting my faith above all else. Not maybe what am I capable of? Will this succeed? But like, is this my journey? Is this what I'm meant to do? And I tried to listen to the way it pans out. Are things flowing smoothly? Are they appearing for me easily? Are the doors closing in front of my face? Like I'm trying to pay attention and adapt as I go to that. What I want to say the hardest part was the behind the scenes, like the AHS stuff. Fighting AHS on certain things, I'm like, I need to let it go. Like, I just need to let it go. It will work out in its own time. I'm forcing it into this spot that it's clearly not ready to be. And I wanted my business to be open April 1st, but it's not going to be open April 1st because the weather is working against me. My schedule is working against me. I just said all these things that were like, this is a no, this is a not right now. It will come, but not right now. So that's the hardest part is like, sit in peace, accept it as it is, just let it come as it wants to.
That's really beautiful. And I feel like things are unfolding the way that they're meant to. And I think this is going to be a really awesome adventure, and
Yeah.
it's going to happen. It's just very soon.
Yeah, whenever it wants to, whenever it's meant to, it'll be just, it's not right now.
What does creating a life you actually want to live mean to you right now?
Man, that also has changed because before I started this, I had a very, I'm doing this because next winter I'm not working oil field and next winter I'm going to be in Mexico all winter. Like that was the attitude I had going into it. And then I got started and it changed. Man, I don't know how I want to explain this.
Before it was kind of just a means to an end almost, like I'm going to do this so that I can, almost escape, right? And are you maybe not feeling that need to escape so much anymore?
No, no, that's exactly what happened. Yeah, exactly. Because when we had originally talked about this, I didn't even want to do this here. I wanted to build my trailer and go to BC with it and fire it up in BC and like in the Kootenays in the Revelstoke area because I love it down there so much. But when I started poking away at this, I realized like I have so much support here. And like I actually, as much as I didn't realize I needed the support, the deeper into this I got, the more I was like, holy, I need all the support I can get on this one. Like I need somewhere to park this thing that is safe. I need somewhere to store all of my refrigerated things that is like practical and like accessible and also affordable because it can be really expensive to rent any office space or storage space for that matter. Um, and then having access to a Costco that I wasn't going to have elsewhere. And like there were a few things I'm like, man, this would be way easier if I just stayed here a little bit longer. And then that feeling got progressively stronger as I went along with it. And I joined a new church and that changed it too. Like it was a bunch of things all at once. I was like, you need to stay here and do this right now.
All of a sudden, your social circle that you have in Grand Prairie started to be more developed, and also you started to appreciate what you did have there more instead of thinking that you were going to find happiness somewhere else.
Yeah, you're just running from the problem. Yeah. It's funny that you say that because I see it now in other people when they say things like, I'm going to get out of here and I'm going to start my life over elsewhere and I'm going to build my dream life elsewhere. And I'm like, ooh, that was me. But now I see that we are running from something instead of facing what the actual problem is. But it's hard to know what the problem is. It's really hard to know what is making you unhappy where you are.
I think it takes a lot of inner work and willing to be self-reflective and, take accountability for your own part in everything that's going on in your life. It's so easy to blame a job or an industry or other people.
Yeah.
What are you most excited for as you launch this trailer?
Not working night shift anymore? No, I shouldn't say that. What am I excited about? People, honestly, people. It's the getting to meet new people, to feel it would be hard to perceive being a barista and serving coffee, customer service, perceiving any customer service experience being like relaxed. But when you come from a career that is hard and not just like most people that work in the oil field, their careers are demanding either in terms of stress or physical aspects, but to go from that to like doing customer service things seems like a break. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, to just the break of that level of stress. And yeah, meeting new people, growing my community through meeting new people. I love coffee, obviously, so getting to drink coffee more every day and enjoy it, not be like rushing out the door at 3 in the morning to go to work. I look forward to that.
And to an extent, you will get to set your own hours and choose which day you work.
I'm still gonna work. I want to try and stick to the same schedule because it is what I know. And the crowd of people that I wanted to go after, that's not the right way to put that, but like my target audience was people I connect with, right? Which is oil field people. That's all I know. So that requires those really early mornings. And as someone that drove big truck and there's nowhere to get coffee, good coffee, especially that is truck friendly, accessible. Yeah, that was the one thing I'm like, I want to fill this void in our industry that I know so many people would appreciate. So if I can be open early in places that's easy for them to get in and out of, that's kind of what I wanted to go after.
And as a woman in the oil field, you do have to be pretty tough. So I'm sure being able to be a little bit more softer, not have to put on such a tough exterior is going to be a nice change as well.
Oh, big nice change. Yeah, that's one thing I really crave in life is like I don't want to be this tough thing all the time that can take the insults and beat people's punching bags and like there's a lot of scary situations that while driving is the most dangerous thing that anybody experiences in their day. That's the number one fact of the oil field. So when you are doing something dangerous at the very beginning of your day and also at the very end of your day, it just like it really it takes its toll on you. It's so stressful. So to not do that anymore, I really look forward to that.
I'm very excited to come and have my first cup of coffee at Thistle Brew Co. Now, if people are looking to find you or they want to see what's on your menu, where can they go?
They can go to, I have a Facebook page. It's called Thistle Brew Co. I also have an Instagram page called the same thing, Thistle Brew Co. So I'm going to be posting on there hopefully within advance of whenever I figure out where I'm going to be in the morning and what time it's at. But I also have business cards with my QR code on it, and my trailer will have its QR code on it, so you can scan that if you see it anywhere, and you'll be able to be directly taken to whatever link. I think it's for Facebook, so it'll take you to my Facebook page where you can see where I'm at, what time I'm at.
Awesome. That sounds really exciting. Okay, last question before we wrap things up. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Don't go to school. That sounds so terrible, but honestly, I think, yeah, no, I fully regret that year at school. I wish I'd never gone. So I would tell myself, don't go to school. The rest, just do the rest. It was fine. It worked out.
That is an unconventional piece of advice, but I love it. And obviously, it's what's held true.
I'm not a school person. It wouldn't have panned out.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so excited to see Thistle Brew Co. get launched and how your first season goes.
Thank you.
And for everyone out there listening, if you're in Grand Prairie, you better go and check out Thistle Brew Co. and my good friend Rachelle. She's going to be serving up some delicious drinks and food. See you next time on Phosphines.